Welcome to a video on linear regression using Desmos. In this video, we'll use linear regression to investigate how price and demand are related. Let's get started. All of the graphs used in this video are linked in the video description. Please use the links to the graphs to follow along with this video. Here is our problem statement. There is a functional relationship between the price of wireless earbuds and the weekly demand. The table compares the price in dollars and the corresponding weekly demand of wireless earbuds measured in thousands. On the left side of our column, we see the price in dollars. These values range from $150 to $250. On the right side of our table, we see the weekly demand in thousands. These values are decreasing from 212 to 175. Let's use a graphing tool to determine the linear regression that models the set of data. Since we're going to use Desmos to create the linear regression model, let's go ahead and copy and paste this data into Desmos. I'm going to go ahead and select the data and use Control-C or Command-C to copy the data set. Now let's go over to Desmos. Open your internet browser to desmos.com. Either click on the button that says Open the Graphing Calculator, or from the Math Tools menu, select Graphing Calculator. Once the graphing window opens, go over to the left-hand side. There are two ways you can insert your data into a table. You can click on the plus sign in the upper left-hand corner to add an item and then select Table. This would allow you to insert your data manually. Or you can paste your data directly into the cell on the left-hand side. Just use the command either Control-V or Command-V to paste your data set. Now, when I pasted my data set into the cell on the left, it actually pasted it into a list when I really wanted it to paste into a table. This is a common thing that happens to students when you're trying to copy and paste data. Let me go ahead and delete our list, and then let me show you a quick workaround. Open a spreadsheet program like Google Sheets or Excel and paste your data into the table, and then simply reselect your data and select Copy. Control-C or Command-C again. Go back over to Desmos and now click Paste in that first cell using Control-V or Command-V, and your data should paste nicely into a table. Let's go over to the upper right-hand side and adjust the graph settings. I'm going to modify the graph settings for both the X and the Y axis. The x-axis I want to range between -20 and 260 with a step increase every 20. I also want the y-axis to range between -20 and 260 with a step increase of 20 as well. Now I can see my scatter plot, and it does look like we have a negative linear relationship between the price and the demand. Now let's go ahead and create the linear regression model. Go over to the left-hand side, just to the left of your table, you should see a slash with two dots on each the left and right-hand side. If you hover your cursor over that little button, it should say Add Regression. Go ahead and click to add regression. Now, Desmos will carry out a number of types of regression, linear, quadratic, cubic, etc., but the default is linear regression. So let's make sure we select linear regression. I can see the equation of the linear regression model, but I want to export that to a cell so we can use it for this problem. Go ahead and click on the button next to the word equation to export the equation to a new cell. Now we have added our linear regression model, which is y equals -0.4x plus 272.66667. Now that we've found the linear regression model that models price in dollars by weekly demand in thousands, let's use it. Our first question asks us, what does the model predict will be the weekly demand if the price of wireless earbuds is $181? let's round our answer to the nearest 100. Going back through the question, we're asked what will the model predict the weekly demand will be. So we're asked to find a Y value. Our Y values in our table were the demand values. If the price of wireless earbuds is set at 181, this is the X value. So essentially, we're asked to find Y when X is 181. To solve this, what we would do is we would plug 181 in for X. So we would have Y equals negative 0.4 times 181 plus 272.66667. Do not round your answers until you've done all of the numeric calculations. Let's go back to Desmos so we can see how we can use Desmos to evaluate this function. Earlier, we exported the equation into a cell on the left-hand side. Let's go back to where it says Y equals, and let's change Y equals to f of x. Y is a function of x. Those two are interchangeable. The reason why I like to change Y to f of x is because it's easier to evaluate a function using Desmos. So if I want to find Y when x is 181, I need to plug 181 in for x to my function. So let's find f of 181. And there we go. We get 200.26667. We used Desmos to find Y, and we got Y was 200.26667. However, we're not quite done yet because remember, weekly demand is measured in thousands. We need to take this Y value and multiply it by 1,000. That would give us 200,266.67. And now the question asked us to round it to the nearest 100. So rounding to the nearest 100, the demand would be 200,300. This means that when the price is $181, the weekly demand would be 200,300 wireless earbuds. Let's take a look at another problem where we're asked to use our model. According to the model, what should the price be set at to have a weekly demand of 231,500 wireless earbuds? We'll round our answer to the nearest dollar. Let's go back through the question again. We're asked, what should the price be set at? So in this case, we're asked to find the price, that's an X value, to have a weekly demand of 231,500 wireless earbuds. That's our Y value. But remember, Y, or the demand, is measured in thousands. So 231,500 would be the same as 231.5 measured in thousands. So to summarize here, we want to find X when Y is equal to 231.5. Okay, following suit with the previous problem, we want to plug that value in for Y. In this case, we have an equation to solve. We need to solve where 231.5 is equal to negative 0.4x plus 272.66667. Now, we could just use algebra to solve for x here. You would just subtract 272.66667 to both sides and then divide by negative 0.4. However, the point of this video is to show you how you can use Desmos to solve this. When you're trying to solve an equation using Desmos, you're essentially finding the intersection of two functions. So we already have negative 0.4x plus 272.66667 typed in to Desmos. That's our f of x function. I'm going to add 231.5 as a second function. I'll call it g of x, and then we'll find the intersection point of the two functions. So let's go back over to Desmos. Remember, we already added our linear regression model to the left-hand side of Desmos. There's our f of x. That is our right-hand side of the equation. Now in a new cell, I'm going to enter the left-hand side of the equation we're trying to solve as g of x, and that was 231.5. Where those two functions are equal is going to be the solution to my equation. To find the intersection point of those two lines, just click on that value. And you can actually export that point to a cell. So our intersection point is 102.91668. That's where both of the equations are equal to 231.5. We used Desmos to solve this equation, and we found that the left and right hand side of this equation are equal when x is 102.91668. Since we're asked to round to the nearest dollar here, x would be approximately $103. So this means that when the weekly demand is 231,500 wireless earbuds, the price should be set to $103. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.